Please give me the opportunity to talk. Praja, you should why later on because the monks already why. I have to teach you everything. Anumodana everyone. This Sunday, we come to listen to the Dhamma very early morning. I lived my life like this. During Sundays, I went to different places to listen to the Dhamma. Back then, there's a lot of masters, and I choose which master I like to come to listen to. To practice Dhamma back then and now, there are different conditions. When I went to different places to practice Dhamma, it's older in older generations. The master in older generations, they taught us to sit in meditations for many years. When they give talks to crowded audiences, then they would give talks about sharing things and keeping the precepts. But whenever I come to visit them personally, or a group with a limited group of people, they would allow us to do sitting meditation. And if they cannot progress further, they wouldn't teach further. I like to practice when I was a child. Nobody would force me to do Dhamma practice. The master Luangpu Pramote taught me Anapanasati, the breathing techniques, breathe in good, breathe out ill. I kept on doing this since I was young. My mind likes it. The adults don't really force me to do so. I like it, so I do so. I did so. So I was practicing it for a period of time, and my mind was awakened. My mind was awakened since I was 10 years old. It becomes an awakened, blissful, and joyful one. The very first time that my mind was awakened, I could memorize that this is the awakening state. At that time, there was a fire burning the house, and I was just playing with my friends in front of the house by the road, and I see that there's a apartment living was burned, was on fires. So I was so startled, and I was hurried to step. With the first step, I was startled. The second step, I startled, and then the third step, I could see the feeling of startlings. And as soon as the mindfulness knows these startling feelings, then that startledness gone, and then the mind becomes stable observer. I didn't know what happened since back then. I just knew that it was something spectacular, something unusual, some unusual phenomena is happening. So I went to tell my father about the fire, and I see a lot of people become startled about the fire. And from then on, I became self-aware for on and on. I'm not like drift away, wandering away all the time. Not like that anymore. So I went to come to listen to the masters from different temples, and most of them taught about sharing things and upholding the 5 precepts, and sometimes they teach about Dhamma practice like chanting Buddha as well. So I was wondering, is Buddhism limited to doing calm samadhi? Is there anything further beyond this teaching? But I don't have the access to these Dhamma that is subtle, more subtle than doing calm samadhi. So I try to read Tipitaka, and there are different ways, myriad ways of Dhamma practice, but I couldn't know where to start. So one day, in January 25 BC, and he taught, and I pay respect to Master Luangpu Pramote. He taught me to observe my mind. I did that since, and when I was observing my mind, at first, nobody taught me. When he taught Dhamma practice, they would teach about Shining Buddha and contemplation of the body. But once I went to visit Master Luangpu Pramote, I told him that I want to practice Dhamma, but he didn't teach me right away. He was closing his eye, sitting meditation for a long period of time, till I felt as if he was asleep. It's about like 40 minutes, and once he opened his eyes and he taught me, "You read a lot of books now. Observe your own mind." When he said that read your own mind, and I said that I understood, he asked me if I understand this, and I said I understand this, but actually I didn't. I don't know what the mind is like. I don't know where the mind is. I don't know what tools I use to read the mind and how to read the mind. I know nothing about it. But the master said that I should read my mind, observe my mind. This is the bizarre teaching, because most master would teach people to shining Buddha and contemplate on the body, but he taught me to observe my mind. So I stopped practicing. I understood that my mind needs to be within my body, not somewhere else. So I wouldn't send the mind out beyond my body. When I go to work, it's very normal to send the mind out, but once you come to practice Dhamma, you have to be aware within the body, not beyond the body. Since I was young, my mind was then sending out to see different things. There are sort of toys to play, the different things. But once the master told me to observe my mind, so I don't allow the mind to sending outside the body. To observe the mind at the beginning, the easiest way is that you have to observe your feelings. Sometimes unhappiness, neither unhappiness nor happiness. These are the three feelings to the heart, feelings in the heart. There are these three phenomena. The first one is happiness through the mind, suffering through the mind, and indifference, which is neither happiness nor suffering within the mind. So we keep on observing like this. If the mind is happy, no so, unhappy, no so. If it's neither happiness nor unhappiness, no so as well. In fact, before observing these three feelings, I observed the mental formations. Because I was hot-tempered, the very first thing that I observe is the aversion, the dislike, the irritation. At first, I gradually observed my mind, and I couldn't observe the mind directly because the mind has no shape, no form, nothing to be as a point of notice that it is the mind. Some people see the light. The light is actually not the mind. Or some people see colors like white, red, yellow. The mind has no colors. The mind has no shape or form, colors, taste. It is actually an abstract part. It is just a point of knowing. At first, to observe the mind right directly, it's impossible. There's nothing to see. The mind is like a gas for cooking. There's no taste, there's no smell, there's no taste, there's no colors. But the authority is afraid of when it become explode easily because people couldn't notice, so they added on taste and smells onto it. Likewise, the mind is actually empty. There's no shape, no form, no colors, no taste. To observe the formless abstract part like this, it's impossible. Therefore, we have to observe the mind through different uh, additives, which is, for example, the smell, the odor. The things that can help us to observe the mind is mental factors. It is called mental factors. What are mental factors? They are the phenomena that propagate the mind or come together with the minds like happiness, neither happiness and happiness, or the perception, memorization, good or bad replication. These are whatever you could see them, whichever you could see them, that's okay. The very first thing that I could observe is diversion because I'm a hot temper. I become angry nature. Anyone that talks something that I felt and I become irritated easily, or anyone that come to talk to me like repeatedly, I become easily irritated. So the first one that I could witness is actually the aversion in family, in the aversion, like become bored. For example, if I sitting in a meeting and somebody just keep on talking without nonsense, like there's no substantials to it. So it's a waste of time. I was irritated and bored, and I could observe these boredom and also irritation arising within my mind. These are within the family of aversion. Aversion is something that easy to observe because it's very the causes of all the defilements. But the greed is more subtle, and the delusion is the more subtle one, the most difficult to observe. So the cause phenomena would be easier to observe. So the very first abstract part is aversion, irritation. Actually, I could see when it resurfaces. At first, it's very tiny. If without good mindfulness, it will expanding and then dominate your mind, dominate your thoughts, speech, and action. According to the power of aversion. Aversion, likewise, other defilements, they're like fire. Once ignited, it started from a very small point. With just a spark of the fire flame, then the flames go on and become big fire. Likewise, defilement is the same. Defilement happens in a very tiny, but without mindfulness, it's grew larger and larger, and it can so that it can dominate you, like dominate your mind, your thoughts, and then it commands your speech and actions according to your defilements. So I keep on practicing, start to see that the version arises within the mind. At first, I couldn't know, and I just want to know how to get out of the diversion. The more I've witnessed this, then it gives rise to another aversion. I become irritated when it's gonna go away. So I kept on practicing, and I start to grasp the gist of the practice that I have to witness. The Buddha said that we have to know the suffering, the version within the suffering. So we don't have to let go of all of these defilements. It is something that should know. Once aversion arises, we know. As soon as the mindfulness knows this aversion, then aversion will follow it. From the mindset level of aversion, it will become the mindset. From the mind that have aversion, will become the mind that has no aversion. As soon as the mindfulness knows the aversion, it will go away. And keep on observing like this on and on. And then you could see that if you don't have the mindfulness to know, the defilement become intensified. But with the mindfulness, the defilement will lack of intensity. It's like the tree. Once it's grew up, and once it grows, you cut it off. Grow again, cut it off. So the energy of life of these tree will reduce and reducing because it couldn't grow because we keep on cutting them. All the foods and nutrients that it accumulated within the trees start to go away, and eventually it couldn't grow up. So likewise, if you keep on observing the defilements, knowing the defilements within our heart, it couldn't just grow. They have some investment, some nutrients for the defilements to grow up. But once we know, then it's become deficit. But if keep on growing on nutrients, we can be aware of them. The defilements can dominate your mind or command your thought and speech, then it become more energized and gain more energy. If we satisfy the defilements, if we don't know them, it gain more strength. For example, women at first they don't really saying things, like they don't really talkative negatively. For example, they have to do a lot of house chores. Once they got back to work, they have to do house chores, makes everything neat, and when things disorganized, they start to saying things. Um, but once they saying things in negative words, and then at the end they keep on belittling and saying things like, um, the, for example, the weather, and sometimes blame the divine beings about the weather. But divine beings would curious why. It's like these people like to uh, they like to talk things in negatively. Likewise, other defilements, if you give up on these defilements, it will gain more strength, and then it's very more difficult to fight against those defilements because it gain more strength because we become weaker and weaker. Likewise, when come to practice, when you practice and you were young, then you gain the advantage. But if you grow up till you become old and you let the defilements growing up within your heart from in years like decades, and you start to come to fight against defilements, it's not going to be easy. You have to really be patient for fighting defilements. You have to keep on observing the defilements. Do not ignore them. Aversion arises, no so. Do not let it happen. Do not satisfy those defilements. Greed arises, no so. Delusions or drifting away, no so. You have to be aware of it. At first, you know the cause phenomena, and after a while, you can see more subtle. For example, you started from aversion, then you kind of know the greed, and then delusions, which is the mind that wandering away. This is more and more subtle. Keep on practicing, the mind start to stay away from defilements more and more. There was a translations like arahato. It is the is it is the when you're far away from the defilements. And if you want to observe your mind, you have to closely observe yourself. What kind of feelings arises often? That's one is more. Is the things that need to be aware. For example, myself, I was having a lot of aversion, then I knew diversion. Or for some people, they have a lot of greed. Once the greed arises, have the mindfulness to know so, and then the greed will fall away, and then the mind becomes stable observer, and there's no greed within the mind. Once aversion arises, then the mind won't have the aversion. So be mindful of these defilements. When the greed arises, the lust arises, no so, and there will no lust, no greed. Likewise, aversion and delusion. There will be non-aversion, non-greed, and non-delusion. These are the enemies to the greed, aversion, and delusion. So that's why for Founders in the mindfulness said that you have to be aware when the mind has has diversion. When there's non-aversion, no so. When the greed arises, no so. No greed, no so. If the mind develops delusion, no so. Develop non-delusion, no so. So greed, aversion, delusions, and non-aversion, non-greed, and non-delusion. These are the dualities that they are enemies to each other. So we come to learn and to get rid of all the greed, aversion, delusion. We don't have to think about it. Through the mindfulness to be aware. If the mind develops greed knows so, delusion knows so, aversion knows so, that we know these departments, the department will fall away automatically, and the mind will become the minds that develop non-greed, non-aversion, and non-delusion. The minds that have the greed, aversion, delusion is the unwholesome minds. The minds that has greed, aversion, delusion is the wholesome. Has no greed, aversion, delusion is the wholesome mind. To know the unwholesome mind will fall away, and it will give rise to a wholesome mind. So when you come to observe the mind, you have to memorize this. We don't come to practice to get rid of the defilements. We don't come to practice to get rid of the defilements. You come to practice to be aware of the defilements at the present moment. As soon as we be aware of the defilements, then the defilements will fall away automatically. There will be no defilements to get rid of. Actually, you can't get rid of the defilements. Defilements is within the suffering, heap of suffering. This heap of suffering is something that we need to be aware, to know. It's not something that we should get rid of. We have to be aware, not getting rid of it. Actually, we can know, everyone can know these defilements, but why we don't know? Because we ignore it. Master Luangpu Dun told me that to practice Dhamma is not easy, not difficult. It's only difficult for those who don't practice. Those who don't practice, who ignore knowing defilements. For example, if somebody cross you and you feel angry, and nobody knows your aversion, they just know the person that makes you angry. This is when you send your mind out to pay attention to other things instead of coming to observe yourself. You observe other people. So if you want to come to observe your mind, keep on doing so. Do not force the mind to be still. Control the mind to be still. You let the mind work. Let it work on its own. And whatever they make contact with the six sense doors, and the mind will work right away. If it's happiness and happiness arises and wholesomeness and wholesomeness arises, it happens on its own. We don't choose any particular phenomena that's going to happen. It's like we can't forbid the aversion or delusion or greed. These are non-self. The mind is non-self. They cannot be controlled. They cannot be forbidden to happen. So we have to have the mindfulness to know these phenomena. That's why the Buddha said that we have to be aware of the suffering. The suffering is at five aggregates. Why? We have to know because we cannot interfere with it because it's non-self. The five aggregates are non-self. For example, we want to interfere with the body not to be aging. It's impossible. If we command the body not to ache or pain or within the mind, or just command the mind to be wholesome all the time, not unwholesome, we cannot command it to happen. So these are not things that can be controlled. We don't fix it, we don't interfere with it, we just know. So if we want to start to observe the mental parts, we can observe them. We don't interfere with these mental parts or try to command it or force it. So when the six sense door make contact with the world, once happiness and happiness arises, and wholesomeness arises also, and then it gives rise to wisdom. You can see that all the happiness and wholesomeness and unwholesomeness are outside things. It's not the mind. They are not the mind. There's something that the mind knows. It's like this microphone. Microphone is something outside. You can see that the microphone is outside. Nobody see that the microphone is yourself. So you have the mindfulness to see the greed, aversion, delusion kick in. You can see that these defilements are something outside. It's not the mind. It is something that's it's something strange coming in. It comes and goes, rising and falling away automatically. We don't have to do anything with it. We're just an observer. It's like we observe the characters in the movies, like aversion, illusions on the stage. We could see that suffering, happiness, in the stage, indifference in the stage within your mind. I started from aversion and then could see more subtle phenomena. When aversion arises, the mind is not happy. You can see that the mind's subjective suffering. From just aversion, you can see the suffering to the mind. This is called Domanate Vedana in Pali. This is in the text. You don't have to know much about it. You just see that the suffering within the mind. When this aversion arises, there you will develop um, the, sub, the suffering within the mind. As soon as the aversion arises, there will be suffering within the mind. And keep on observing, you should see that aversion is not good. Because if you're angry at someone, the very first person will bear consequence is yourself. It causes suffering. So diversion is something that is very easy to get rid of because you can see the consequence of it. But greed is more difficult to let go because greed, once it happens, it causes happiness. For example, if you just see something, you become enjoying seeing them very relaxed way. You develop nandiraka in Bali. For example, to go shopping and you become happy. So it's quite difficult to observe. But unlike the aversion, once it happens, it causes suffering right away. But if greed happens, it can be both happiness and indifference. But delusion is the boss of them all. It arises together with the aversion and greed. And the delusion. The delusion is the only one that can give rise to aversion and greed. And while having the delusions, there could be three feelings sometimes: happiness, unhappiness, or indifference. So it's something that's very difficult to observe. The easy part is the aversion because whenever it happens, it causes suffering. At first, you can see aversion, then you see other feelings like the other feelings that rise together with the aversions. So from mental information, you can observe the feeling as well. When, for example, when the greed happens, if you don't know how to practice, when the greed arises, you'll feel happy. But if you know how to practice it, you can see that whenever the greed arises, the mind will struggling. There will be suffering. The mind doesn't truly happy. So when the mind drifts away, it causes struggling of the mind. This is when you practice very well to see this. But if you practice as a beginner, you can see the suffering when you see flowers. So it's very difficult to let go of the greed. Aversion is very easy to let go because it happens together with the suffering within the mind. So when I start practicing observing the aversion, then I can see the greed as well. And once I see aversion, then I could see the suffering. When aversion arises, the suffering arises together all the time. So I could see two aggregates. The first one is from mental formations, which is the aversion, and the feelings, which is the suffering within the mind. So I start to expand my knowing, learn more of these things. So sometimes I could see that the mind starts to think of something. For example, someone's face. I don't I don't see them for many years, for many decades, but all of a sudden I think of this person and an aversion arises right away. Or sometimes you make contact with the bad weather. For example, it's very hot. The hot weather make contact with the body and causes suffering. Then aversion arises. So aversion doesn't just happens out of nowhere. It arises with something that fabricates it, which is the perceptions and feelings. It's quite difficult to understand. I think I'm going to give an easy talk, but it starts to become more difficult and more difficult. This is why perceptions and feelings are called mental formations. It fabricates the mind to be wholesome and wholesome, and on and on. If you don't understand it, that's okay. From now on, if your mind is angry, just see the person that made you angry. Just observe your mind that is angry. If you keep on observing, you see that the mind that is angry causes suffering. You become lazy to be angry anymore, and then the person will start to become weakened. But for the greed or lust is, for example, if others out of nowhere, then we think of like a naked woman, for example, or then the greed arises, the lust arises, and sometimes, and then you keep on thinking on that perception and try to expand the fabrication. This is what I taught the monks in the monasteries. So for the monks, the greed or lust is the first number one enemy, because even just make a mistake, a minor mistake, you could break a great precept. And people in the monasteries, the monks in the monasteries are very afraid of the lust or greed, because you cannot forbid it to happen. But once it happens, you uh, you shouldn't think about it. You shouldn't think about the lust or the story that makes you lusty. The hormones within the bodies activate your lust, and it makes you think of the lust in the past. But if you think about the story that makes you lust, then it's actually your sensual thoughts, the things that make your aversion become more intensified is the aversion thoughts. For example, you think of that evil behavior that makes you even angrier. Or sometimes the mind develop weeds within the body. You cannot forbid to happen. Then it's try to activate, try to entices you to think of the sensual story. Instead of thinking of sensual story, you think of something foul. Then there will be no nutrients of food for the lust or greed, and they become weaker and weaker. So if you keep on practicing, then there will be tricks and tips to survive more and more. Because sometimes once lust arises, the person arises, you can fight against them because you are still weak. Your mindfulness and samadhi is still weak. Then you shouldn't feed them food. Then they become weakened and perished. So you can observe yourself when greed arises, then you keep on thinking. When aversion arises, then you keep on thinking about those stories. So the things that make you aversion, defilements even intensify is actually your thought. But if you try to guard your mind, then you don't think about it further. So I'm trained myself to observe my mind. I first observe the aversion and then greed. These are mental practice. You see the process of working of these things like feelings of mental formations and body. But this is not, you don't reach the mind yet. But if you keep on observing, practicing, and then once the mind develops greed, the greed and the mind are two different things. You see that the mind is an observer. And once the mind and the person arises, they are two different things. One, happiness and the mind are two different things. The mind is an observer. Once the suffering arises, the suffering is not the mind. It is something that the mind knows. It's two different things. So keep on separating these two. It's separating on its own, and with the power of the morality, samadhi, and wisdom. These are more subtle. Other people, when they're angry, they just say that I am angry. But for you, you see that the mind is angry. If you practice better, then you see that aversion comes and the mind is a observer. The aversion is not the mind. If you can see that this is not the mind, this is not the mind, and the mind become more dominant, You will see the mind is dominant. This is when you can truly observe the mind. You see that the mind that is observer, awakened and joyful, arising and falling away. The mind, this knowing mind, stay for a while and fall away, and give rise to the lost mind. The thinking mind falls away, and give rise to the knowing mind again, without intention to make it stay. The knowing mind stays for a while and falls away, and give rise to the seeing mind. The seeing mind and stay for a while and falls away, and knowing mind rises again. So knowing mind is not something permanent. It rises and falling away all the time. It taking turns arising through the lost mind through six doors. So we come to observe like this till we can reach the mind. At first, we don't see the mind yet. We see all these mental factors. I give another example. Other people, when they're angry, you will see that you are angry. I am angry. But for Dhamma practitioners, you can see that the minds are developing the version. But for if you become more adapted, observing these, you can see that aversion arises is not the mind that's angry. If you could see separate between aversion and greed and delusions, happiness and happiness, and the mind are two different things. You can see that the minds become dominant. The mind that is stable becomes stable observer, and all the contexts and the environments are and neighboring are not the mind, so that you can cultivate wisdom more subtle. You can see that the stable observers stay for a while, the lost mind stay for a while, the lost through the mind that lost through thinking, the mind lost through seeing stay for a while, the mind that lost through tasting stay for a while, the mind lost through sensing the sensation stays for a while. All these kind of mind stay for a while only. At first, you don't reach the mind yet. You only see the mental factors, the things that comprising the mind. But if you keep on observing more and more, then you can reach the mind. You can see that all kinds of mind rising and falling away. You can reach this point, but before reaching this point, you can see that the mind is not you. The mind is something that the mind knows. The feelings are not us. The perception are not us. Is something that the mind knows. All the mental formations, happiness and happiness, greed, aversion, delusions, and non-greed, non-aversion, non-delusion is something the mind knows. But if you keep on practicing, even the knower mind is impermanent, is arising, falling away all the time. It is non-self, it's not something that you command. To observe the mind is not that we control the mind or try to fabricate the mind. At first, the mind fabricates whatever we know so, till you can reach the mind that fabricate nothing. And the master would say that the knower mind is the observer. And according to the Buddha said that this is a luminous mind. Then the nature of the mind is luminous, but it becomes miserable because of the defilements. There's something fabricate the mind, so it becomes miserable. So if we keep on practicing like this, so we can enter the luminous mind. Once you enter the luminous mind or knowing mind, then you can cultivate wisdom ultimately. You can see that even knowing mind arising and falling away, and then cannot be controlled. Whether the mind wants to go to listen or to seeing, we cannot choose it. Or thinking, we cannot choose it. You want to be self-aware, we cannot guard. We cannot make it happen all the time. You see that the mind arising and falling away. When you reach the mind is the boss of them all, the boss of all these. The four aggregates just only supporting it. But if you can catch its boss, which is the mind, you see that it's rising and falling all the time. is not us and doesn't belong to us. We see that all five aggregates are not us and doesn't belong to us. There's no us in any part of the five aggregates. There's no us in anywhere else. When you could see that the mind, there is no us, that's when you become stream enterer. And you keep on observing till you could reach this point that you can enter the stream enterer. If you become stream enterer, you still attached to the luminous mind because you think it's spectacular, it's good. So you attach to this luminous mind. You depend on this stable observer. You have to keep on observing, practicing. Just keep on practicing on and on. And then one day, once the mindfulness, samadhi, wisdom are matured, you see that these four are suffering, but this luminous mind is the boss of all the suffering. Master Luangpu Pramote said that this luminous mind is actually the avijja, ignorance itself. Actually, we are nurtured the avijja or the boss of the evil. We are left with the evil, the boss of the evil. Back then, there's a lot of thieves and criminals, and they find a boss of the criminals to get rid of all the small criminals. When you the four aggregates are small criminals till you reach to the mind, reach the luminous mind. You keep on knowing, observing it, and then you see that this luminous mind is the suffering, because the mind has the duty of knowing and has a burden all the time. You have to keep on carrying on these burden ceaselessly. Like you're working 10 hours a day, the body can take some rest, but for the mind keep on working all the time. Even you in sleep, and you keep on practicing, you see that there's nothing more suffer than the mind. Up to this point, you can let go of the mind. If you can let go of the mind, the fire again is something that the mind knows. If you can let go of the boss, then all the subordinates will be let go as well. So you keep on practicing, and up to one point, you could see that the things that come back together with the mind is not the mind. The mind is the one that knows and sees. And one day you could see that the knower mind arising and falling away is not permanent. It's not under control like other phenomena. If the mind can know like this, then you can see that the mind is not us. It's just only nature. It's only a phenomenon. Come to know the phenomena. This is when you become gain the initial Dhamma. After one point, then you will see that the mind itself, knowing awakened, blissful one, that you think that's spectacular. This is actually the boss of all the evil, the boss of the criminals. It's the center of the suffering, the center of all the defilements within the knowing mind. That's when you can let go of the knowing mind. The cycle of samsara in the middle of our chest will collapse and then become empty. There will be no circle anymore. That should be enough for today. This is when you're observing the mind. But if anyone cannot observing the mind, then you can observe the body. When the body moves and knows so, stays still, knows so. The body breathing in and out knows so as well. Keep on observing, you can see the mental parts. See the body breathing on and on, the mind becomes calm and happy. You could see the abstract parts. If you can see the abstract part, you start from the form, because form is something coarse. Breathing in, breathe out, no soul, and on, and then you see the abstract parts, the mental parts. The most coarse mental part is aversion, and after a while, you can see that it causes suffering, and you can observe the feeling as well. You see that you are nurturing your aversion and greed through the thoughts. When make contact, you can see that these are the things that try to fool us. These are Mara, and then you can reach the mind. That should be enough for today. It takes decades to practice. Anyone feel that they want raise your hand, want to come to practice? I know that you try to fool me, but I still feel good. There's a lot of people practice very good these days. I taught people in the temple. Someday they come to meet me, like 10 people. They practice very well. It's beyond separate aggregates. But for you guys, it's aggregates. But for other people, they are cultivating wisdom already. They come to submit homework with me. Some people will see that even the world is just a phenomenon that comes and goes all the time, like we're dreaming. Once there, I told them that if you could see this, that's good. You should observe the us. Us is actually a part of the phenomena, the big picture of the phenomena. This is another phenomenon. You can see that there's no us. They practice like this, so do not be lazy. If you becoming old and older, then it's going to be more difficult. So if you still have some strength, then keep on practicing. Number one, I practice informal meditations by moving and walking meditations. In daily life, I observe the mind lost and doing different activities. I'm very easy to become scattered and requires a lot of effort to practice. At the beginning, my mind can see the body walking clearly, but later on, I couldn't see it clearly. Do not have the craving for making clear. If the craving arises, then it's not going to be clear. When you move like this, you don't really know. You have to train. If the body moves no so, moving good, you should move in natural way. If you keep on moving in a pattern, and then you become enjoying and the mind drifting away easily, or the mind will be absent easily. See, you move and you didn't see it. You didn't see it. Keep on practicing more and more, and it will become better. Now you just become excited, so the mind is not rooted in awareness. What you practice is actually good. Number two, now it's a lot easier to check the homework. Number two, I practice informal meditations, sitting meditations, and listen to the mantra 2 or 3 hours a day, and I take turn observing the mind that lost in body breathing and walking meditation sometimes. In daily life, I observe the body sometimes. I like to see whether I should observe the mind or not. And Paul said that whatever the mindfulness knows, that's okay. We don't choose it. Be in the present moment. In the present moment, if you can observe the mind, then you can observe the mind. But if you cannot observe the mind, observe the body. When you're nodding your head, you see that the mind just swoop a little bit and then happens. See, it's the mind rising and falling away. But you don't have to observe it. It's just you don't have intention. You can see it. Now your mind lost in thought. You see that? See, you try to be in the present from moment to another. you still forcing the mind, controlling the mind, and become tight, condensed. Like yesterday, there was a person from Rayong. He he, he learned with me since in Kanchanaburi, and he afraid of that whether he's become stream mentor or not. But if I told him that I'm not, that he's not stream mentor, so I try to tell him that you see that there's no, you're still like guarding the mind a little bit. You cannot doing cultivating wisdom at its fullest, to not guarding the mind to be still, so that you could see that it's not us. As long as you still guarding the mind even a little bit, then you can see that the mind is permanent. If you become happy if you're guarding the mind like that, instead of seeing the three characteristics, you see non-three characteristics, which is the permanent and happiness and self. But he could see this, so he can move on. But if I have to teach the monks, I do it in different styles. But when I have to talk to the lay people, I have to talk differently. Number three, you might absent. You see that? You might drift away. You see that? Just move. Keep on moving and be aware. Number one, you submitting homework, you try to guard the mind again. To be still. See, you like to interfering with the mind. You won't be able to see the truth of the mind if you interfere with it. You're not interfering with it, just know as it really is. Number two, you're wandering away again. You wander off to think. Number three, you're good. I practice informal meditations, right? Sitting meditation for about 1 hour a day and observing the mind. And when I see cravings and thoughts, I become suffer. I felt that I have weak samadhi. Your samadhi can gain more strength. Samadhi is like when recharging battery. After a while, you have to replenish by doing formal meditations. What you practice is good. The mind gain more strength, but they're still guarding the mind still. So just be aware of it. Just know the wrongdoing, know the mistakes. The mistake is that when you're interfering or guarding the mind, you cannot doing it right. Just know the wrong. Once you know the wrong, then it's not gonna be wrong, and it's gonna be right. If you try to make it right, then it's wrong. Number three, you have to be more relaxed. It's to reach it. But overall, you're good. The mind gain strength and strong. Number four, I practice meditation by sitting in half an hour a day. And in daily life, I become self-aware. In the present, the mind can enter samadhi very easily. Is there things that I could do to have the mindfulness in daily life? To do that, you have to do formal meditation well. If the mind becomes stable, observer, so drift away, so that you can live this practice in daily life. For number four, you have to observe that you puffing up the mind. See, you could see you're puffing the mind up, expanding the mind. This is when you fabricate the mind. If you fabricate the mind like that, you think that you're practicing, but actually you're lost in fabrication. See, it's now different than before. See? It's not like that. It's not puffing up like that. It's like you're puffing like a frogs. You should have to be normal. Just know as it really is, with natural mind, not fabricated mind. If you know with natural mind without interfering with it, then you see when the mind interferes or fabricates. The mind fabricates on its own. Number 5. Hold on a sec. Number 4. You have too much intention to practice. It becomes tight, condensed. If you practice and become condensed, it means that you're interfering with it. Number 5, 6, 7, and 8. You're good. Number 5. I practice in daily life about 1 and 2 hours a day. And in daily life, I felt the body movement and the body breathing and the attachment, the condense with my chest. You're good. You practice well. There's nothing to fix. Number 6. 5, 6, 7, 8. Very good. Number 6. I practice in form meditations for about an hour. I'm chanting Yuk Nọ Pong Nọ and walking meditations for 1 hour. In daily life, I observe the body moving. If the mind step observer is become happy, if I let the mind body go, let myself go, then there is be suffering without any causes. The boss said that it's correct, but it happens because of its cause. Without mindfulness, the mind will become miserable. It causes suffering. But with the mindfulness, the mind will become blossom and joyful. At first, it will be joyful, but after a while, it will become indifferent. Those who don't have the mindfulness, then there will be joy arising. But after a while, it will become indifferent. You feel that, that's it. That's all. There's nothing much to it. It's a very normal thing. Number 6, you drift away to the world of thoughts. When you're nodding, you didn't see. The body moves also. You're good. When you're laughing, that's good. You don't command your mind, but you become self-aware without controlling it. Number 5, you're drifting away also. For those who don't practice, they drift away only 1 time a day, from dusk till dawn. But if you practice more and more, you drift away more often because you know so. Drift away and also drift away and also. You see the rising volume phenomena all the time. Number 6, you drift away again. Number 7, these 8 people are actually good. But for number 1, you're overguessing too much. Number 7, I practice informal meditations by using the breathing techniques, observing the body breathing. In daily life, I try to be aware of all the time. The mind moves all the time like the stream of rivers. I don't know what the phenomena of the mind that becomes stable observer. You don't have to know. Just know the mind that moving here and there. Just not going with the mind. I actually want to. Your mind is already stable observer. Your mind is already correct. You practice very well. Number 7. You keep on observing it. Do not hurry. Number 8. Do not lift the mind up like that. Come down to the normal level, to the same plateau. You don't have to lift up. Number 8. I practice informal meditations by chanting mantra, morning mantra, and evening before bed. In daily life, I am aware of the body movement. Keep on practicing. Is normal? Is your mind normal? If it's different from daily life, then that's okay. because you're excited and you try to control the mind. If you got excited, you say no, so you don't have to control it. Good. For the front row, you still fabricate the mind. Try to get the mind to be still like you. You still fabricate it. I'm not condemning you. I just told you pinpoint so that you can move on, make progress. Number 3, you gain some strength of the mind, but do not try to guard it. So that should be all for today. It's already 10 o'clock. I like to give some blessing and get away from being deceptive. Do not go to Brahma because blessing couldn't fight against it.